Hello, hello, hello.
How we doing? How we feeling? How we looking, baby?
How we feeling, people? And how not only how we feeling, how we living. That's what I
How
want
we
to know.
live? Sometimes you living good. We living
Yeah?
good. We living. You know what? I'm living okay.
Are you?
Thanks for asking. I'm
That's
living
good.
okay.
That's good, man. That's good to hear. You always love to hear that.
That's
We're
good.
talking about college football week 4. We're going to recap it, talk to you about all the prospects that you need to know for Dynasty football in 2023 and 2024. Of course, we're going to keep our finger on 2024 class. We're going to go through what happened this week. Any players that are rising, falling, there's definitely a couple in particular for me that I have falling who have not lived up to expectations. And then we're just going to recap the week and talk about week 5 and answer any questions that you guys have afterwards. Do us a huge favor, drop a like on this video and let us know who's here. Let us know who's here watching with us. What's up, John? I see you there. What's up, Kyle? Mr.
How we feeling?
Unlimited.
Unlimited.
Let me try and get this live chat overlay on.
And that can be. How's everyone doing? How's everyone feeling? Drop your big college moves this week or college rises and fallers. We'll definitely get to these guys. I'm here
What's
soon.
up, Trenton?
What's happening, man? How we doing?
Yeah, there's going to be a point in the season, and I don't think we're there yet. I still think we're about 4 or 5 weeks away, Badake, but there will be a point in the season where a lot of people are probably out of their leagues. They feel like they're done, like they're not performing the way that they want, and what's next? It's time to look at Dynasty football. But everyone who's here with us, who's watching, you never stopped. I mean, you're still here. You're watching college football. You're keeping track of these prospects. You're already thinking about the 2023 draft. You live, you breathe, you sleep Dynasty football. If that's you, say what's up in the chat. Obviously, we're going to get to this in a second, but I also wanted to look at a mock draft today. If you're down, Badake, like at the very end, because I don't feel like there's going to be as much to talk about this week. I mean, a lot of players they're either still doing well or they're not doing well. I'll talk about a couple players that I felt like were standouts. You know, I had my star watch or my watch list last week that I brought, and I'll just recap how those players are doing as well. And one player in particular that I am not ready to give up on anymore that I want to talk about. But so a lot of things to talk about, but we will also look at a mock draft. And please keep in mind, if you guys have questions today, please know that we always answer questions. But on today's stream, we're going to get through it for people who are going to watch later. And then at the very end of the stream, we will leave time for a Q&A where we'd be happy to answer any of your questions. So go ahead and drop a like on the video. But if you have questions and you're like, why aren't they answering? We will. It'll just be at the very, very end of the video. We like to, let people come back and watch this. And if we're just answering questions instead of getting through the content for week 4, then it'll be tough for them to enjoy it. So again, keep in mind, we'll have a Q&A at the very end. Drop a like. So let's get, without further ado, I reckon let's get straight to it and let's recap week 4 of the college football season, starting with Bryce Young, who still looks incredible. 25 for 36 versus Vanderbilt. You would have anticipated the Alabama Crimson Tide destroying this team, and that's exactly what they did. Bryce looked great. 385 yards, 4 tutties. It was exciting to see what he did on the ground earlier in the season, but it seems like he's slowly getting away from that. I would like to see that to continue. So I can really judge him as a prospect and see what he can do in the NFL. But again, Bryce is someone there's not really much to report on. He still looks incredible. He still looks like a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. Nothing is going wrong with him. And I would say the same with CJ Stroud. CJ looked pretty good this week as well. Agreed. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception versus Wisconsin. 17 of 27. Looked really good. They didn't have to do too much to really win this game. Braylon Allen ripped off a run, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. So that was cool to see. But yeah, again, both of these top 2 guys, I don't feel like there's much to report. I think there's a lot more to report with some of these other players. But for CJ, for Bryce, they are who we thought they were. They look incredible. They look great. And I think they're going to be top 5 picks in the NFL draft. Let's move on to Will Levis, someone I've been relatively skeptical of. Some people have not been as skeptical as me. This is the week that we needed to see. Badake. And it's not necessarily like the hardest competition, but we needed to see a week like this for Will Levis. He went out there, he looked like he was in control of the offense. You could see some sort of growth for him here in week 4 versus Northern Illinois, which, by the way, I mean, you should destroy them. This game shouldn't be that close.
100%.
The number 7 team in the country, if I'm not mistaken.
100%.
But Will did his part, and that's what I struggled with the last couple games. It's like, man, you made so many mistakes against teams that you really should have beaten. Like Youngstown State. Florida's a different story, but he didn't play very, very well versus them either. But you're starting to see some growth for Will. We need to see this for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I love Will Levis coming in. He was a very high prospect, the guy that I liked coming in. One thing I could keep reiterating, we needed to see him keep his eyes downfield, keep looking downfield instead of running the ball first, and that's exactly what he was doing. He kept, I mean, if you look every single game in the rushing category, I mean, not saying it's what you want to see because it's negative. You don't want to see that. That means he's getting sacked, right? Yeah. But the fact that he's keeping his eyes downfield and he is throwing the ball more than he's rushing is a massive improvement to what he did in 2021. And that's exactly what we wanted to see. I really like Will Levis. I think he's going to be really successful. He has I think he has the pathway of like the Josh Allen, where like he's not an amazing prospect that's going to be day one like CJ and Bryce. He's going to be a year or two that's going to be developing as a quarterback in the NFL. That's what I mean by pathway, not talent, just the pathway. Sure. But I really like Will Levis. I like what he's doing. He's doing his thing, and I'm really excited for him. Come on, come to the New York Football Giants, brother. Come on, baby.
Yeah, I definitely like. This was the first, like. So every week so far, I've watched his film and I've thought, like, what the hell are you doing? Like, these are some terrible mistakes. While you are trying to read the field, you're not doing a very good job at it. Yeah. So again, we're in kind of this like molding process right now. I'm still not all in on Levis, but it was good at least for 1 week to see him at least like do what he's supposed to against an inferior team. Like that's what you need to see at minimum. All right, on to probably my biggest faller of the week.
Not okay.
And that would be Tyler Van Dyke. This was a rough game. I don't know if you were able to watch this one or not.
Yeah,
but
I did.
They lost to Middle Tennessee. And look, Middle Tennessee, like, Miami's defense got absolutely torched. There's no way that Miami, with the recruits that they get, should be losing to a team like Middle Tennessee. The defense absolutely did not play its part, but Tyler Van Dyke was terrible. He was really bad. And we've talked about how his wide receiver core is probably like letting him down more than any other prospect that we can refer to this year as far as quarterbacks go.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to outshine and you have to be the reason that your team finds wins. You have to be the reason, like, and he's just not that guy right now. And he's taken a huge step back this year to the point where I don't even think he's a second round pick anymore. Like, looking at mock draft database, they have him still in that second round pick category, but I don't think he should be over any of these quarterbacks right now. Like, and the list is pretty vast right now. Like, Tyler Van Dyke to me is maybe a 5th round pick at this point with the performances that he's doing. And I'm not even sure if he's going to keep his job at this point. Like, you keep performing like this, of course the quarterback play is not helping, but he could easily lose his job.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think he has a longer leash than anyone on this team, and I think he's going to continue to try and turn it around. If it comes to like week 7, and he is the reason for losing games, then you know
what's tough about that though is he already was taken out of last week's game. I don't know if you were able to see that part, but he was already taken out for Jake Garcia. It wasn't like they were dominating this game or they had no chance to come back. They were in this game, and they decided to take Tyler out of the game and give Jake a chance. That already shows me a sign of not a lot of trust from Cristobal to Tyler Van Dyke. And honestly, like, I understand it because Tyler Van Dyke's done nothing to give you confidence to show that he should be leading this team right now. The backup came in, threw 19 passes, completed 10 of them, so he didn't play all that well either. But
right.
To me, this is like, if we're doing a panic meter, this is a 10 out of 10 panic meter for me. Like, Tyler Van Dyke is no longer someone I'm considering
as a guy for you. Yeah,
I don't think about him anymore. Like he's off my list.
Yeah, and I think that is definitely a real place, and it's getting close for me as well. I guess my leash on him, I'm giving him a couple weeks to see if he can turn it around. It doesn't look likely, but let's just see what he can do. He's playing North Carolina, Tar Heels. I don't know what they call them. Yeah, North Carolina Tar Heels, and
really good freshman quarterback. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, and this team is not a bad team, So if he can perform here and really, like, if he comes out, throws 4 touchdowns, he just looks significantly better. I think it's like, okay, well, this is a Tyler Van Dyke we were believing in. But if he comes in and does the same thing he's just done the past 2 weeks, then there's a massive concern. I think one more week for me. Let's see what happens. But yeah, it's so very, very disappointing because he was my QB3, if I'm not mistaken, coming into this year to say, you know what, really high expectations. Cristobal, by the way, is the head coach that kind of brought up Justin Herbert and put Justin Herbert on the map. Or obviously he didn't that himself. But, we thought that offense, we thought the play calling would be somewhat like Justin Herbert. Tyler Van Dyke is not taking that on very well. So he's definitely falling, no doubt.
We've heard the people who made the conversation point around like, well, Cristobal he actually limited Herbert. He didn't actually allow him to shine. But this is a different scenario. Like, you can't even play within this offense. And what I loved about Tyler Van Dyke last year is his ability to read the field. We're not seeing that. He's not making the right decisions. He's not making smart decisions for his team.
Yeah.
He might not even be the starter by the end of this year. Let's see. But he was probably my biggest faller this week, I would say. Tyler Van Dyke was. All right, on to Anthony Richardson. And I feel like we can finally give some relatively good news for him. I mean, he still threw an interception, but watching this game, like, Anthony Richardson, to me at least, he looked more like, okay, this is the raw materials. This is the prospect that we thought we would see all year after that Utah game. 24 for 44, so still not extremely accurate, but put up 2 touchdowns, and on the ground, which he kind of strayed away from the last couple games, but on the ground he was really dominant, 62 yards and 2 touchdowns, so 4 total touchdowns on the game. This was one of my favorite games to watch this week, Tennessee versus Florida. But, while there's still room for growth, I am much more hopeful about Anthony Richardson this week than I was the last 2 weeks that we've seen. Like, I feel like he's back on track at least.
Yeah, when I watched this game, it was like I agree, because I wasn't hopeful for Anthony Richardson the past 2 weeks, just like you. And when I was looking at this game, I felt like he was doing everything possible to put his team in a position to try and win.
Yeah,
and he tried and kept trying, and with these attempts, 24 for 44 is not the best, but like you said, the rushing attempts, if it wasn't there, he was moving. If the pocket was collapsing, he stepped forward and kept his eyes downfield to try and continue to make the play. So he definitely has potential, but hey.
Yeah, I think if you watch this game, okay, so if you watch Kentucky and South Florida, go watch those games and then watch this game. You will, because this wasn't a good game versus Tennessee. Like, there were shades of okay, this is what we've been waiting for. Do you know what I mean? Like, there were shades of, okay, you can see the potential. I can see through the window now. I can see what we're trying to mold. But those last 2 weeks, it was like, what the hell is happening? At minimum, it was good to see. And if he can even take these small baby steps each week, I still think we're talking about someone who could end up as a top 15 pick in the NFL draft. Like, he's still, because we are seeing the progression of his game. It's slow and it's painful, but we're seeing it. So,
no, he's a good guy, bro. But the hooker dude in Tennessee, though.
That's
that's the dude that you said to watch out in your watch list last week, and I watched him specifically in this game. I was like, holy shit! I was like, I'm happy to wait.
Yeah,
I'm happy to wait. Let's get him.
Yeah. So last week I brought you guys 7 names of a watch list. It was my prospects on the radar list. Those 7 names were Hendon Hooker, which we'll talk about now. Jalen Wyatt, wide receiver from Tennessee. Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. Johnny Wilson from Florida State. KJ Jefferson, Rocket Sanders, and Will Shipley. There's a couple other players that we're going to talk about today. But obviously, good to see Hendon Hooker continually have really good performances. Tennessee right now ranked inside the top 10. Hendon Hooker is a huge reason as to why. He was extremely accurate versus Florida, had control of the offense, was making all the right decisions. And what I said last week was this is someone who has, he had to transfer from Virginia Tech, but he has had so much growth. You can tell that this guy's a senior and that he's played a lot of college football or had a chance to be around a lot of smart people in football, and he's continually seen that growth. 13 carries for 112 yards and a tud. He looked incredible. Hendon Hooker, to me, last week I was like, why is he so low? I still feel like he's too low. Like when I look at these mock drafts that are currently being put out.
I agree. He is somebody that maybe
he's a second round pick right now.
I think we should make an individual video on him. Like,
yeah,
people need to know his name now before he continues until like his name comes out. And I mean, I'm pretty sure it's out now, but like he's a senior, he's eligible this year. He is a guy that
this is pretty much his last chance. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it is pretty much his last chance. But I mean,
yeah,
over nearly 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns. I mean, his completion rating is pretty good. He's averaging what 72%, 71, excuse me, right now. And the rushing upside though, the rushing upside this past week against Florida, 13 rushes for 112 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that's like Lamar numbers right there. That is like, that's high.
Yeah.
You know,
he's not got that sort of athleticism, but he's got like such a well-rounded game.
Yeah.
You could, I could see him being like someone who, who could I compare him to in the NFL right now? It's tough. Oh man, like this is gonna, like if Teddy Bridgewater was way better, or like early.
right.
I don't know how to describe it, but anyway, Hendon Hooker. I saw a question in the chat: how many years has Hooker played, and what's all over? Like, where's he been? He originally committed to Virginia Tech. I'll show you guys his recruiting page. Was originally committed to Virginia Tech, didn't really work out there, and then ended up transferring to Tennessee. You can see his collegiate stats here. Didn't play as a freshman, but as a sophomore, junior, and senior. So he's a fifth-year senior here. You can see his play with Virginia Tech, and then Tennessee as well last year. So someone who, like again, like the development has like the glow up for Hendon Hooker. If you watch Hendon Hooker Virginia Tech tape, you're like, yeah. But if you watch it, the last year he had at Tennessee, and then this year so far, he looks incredible. Like he has taken a lot of steps that were necessary for a young developing quarterback. So keep Hendon Hooker on your name. Watch the Tennessee games; they're really, really exciting.
And they're not
anything
easy.
Else you want to say on him?
They're not easy games.
No.
Like he beat Pitt. Like it wasn't an amazing game for him, but like Florida, who's been pretty up there. So I mean, those are two like challenging teams that he had to go up against, which I thought was incredible.
Yeah.
So
he's facing the best competition in college football in the SEC, and he's delivering, and that's exactly you couldn't really ask for anything more for a prospect to kind of show you like, can you do it? Can you lead a team? And he's proving that every single week.
Yeah, who's he playing this week? LSU. Anyways,
LSU this
by
week.
the way. Yeah.
LSU. Yeah, that would be a good game as well. On to KJ Jefferson here. Another name that I brought on my radar list last week. They played Texas A&M. What a heartbreak game, man.
Man, these field goals?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! What, two missed field goals? Was it two? It was tough. 2 missed field goals. One hit like literally the top of the crossbar. It literally, this is the crossbar, right? This is where the ball hit. Like that's what it was. It was heartbreak.
It was tough. Really tough to watch because what a gritty performance from KJ Jefferson. Didn't throw the ball all that much versus Texas A&M. They decided to run the ball a lot, and it was very successful. I compared KJ Jefferson a lot to Jalen Hurts in the sense of how he can win in the NFL. I know I'm probably going to sound like a broken record until draft time, but like that is the comp. Like that is what he can be in the NFL. Like that's how he can win. That's how he can help a team win in the NFL. Not the most gifted thrower, but he's also not a bad thrower either, and there's a lot there to mold. I was so sad for him because I want to see them in the playoffs, and anytime you take any loss, it's going to be hard to get yourself in that playoff. that college football playoff. But this is a good team, and there's a lot of talent on this team. So that was tough to see. But
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
KJ or Hendon? Right now, close your eyes. Who are you taking?
I would take KJ right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Like if I had to, I would take KJ. But it's like they're in the like the same tier for me right now.
They are in the same tier, and I feel like I will go Hooker.
Yeah. I mean, again, like I don't have like a big enough belief, or I like both of these guys. I'm advocating for both of them, but I don't have a big enough like sway towards either of them to be
right
to have a huge stance on it. I like the answer is both for me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, I would say Hendon feels like right now, based off his play, a more traditional. Even though he can rush, he feels like he has more of the traditional tools to win. I don't know if that's fair to say.
This Hooker feels like, and you're right, like he game manager, like Teddy.
Yeah.
You know, like he puts it, he understands, he's reading the field, he's going through the progressions. I didn't see much of KJ because he barely threw the ball, to be honest. So I would like to see him go like throw the ball more and then really evaluate him versus Hendon Hooker. But yeah, I mean, he does look like a more faster, bigger Teddy.
Yep. All right. Well, should we talk about Tanner McGee?
Yeah, we could talk about him. I mean,
what did you think? They had a pretty big matchup versus Washington. Did anything stand out to you about his game this week?
No, nothing specific. I mean, once again, still a very, very, I guess, good game manager. You know, like it's not amazing. I think he's not somebody I believe. I said this before. He's a good game manager. He knows how to read the defense. He's not a first round pick. Maybe he's a late second, early third round guy. They did lose, but 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was getting sacked. I mean, this offensive line for this team is terrible.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's all I have to say. It's not amazing.
Yeah.
But.
Tanner to me, he like again, he's saying college, so it's an easy comp, but it just reminds me of Davis Mills right now. Like, he's someone who can win games. I would say his potential though, compared to Davis Mills, is like drastically higher. So you get someone who's like a game manager, but because of the build, the arm strength, the IQ, like this is someone who truly can be a franchise quarterback. But he can also be a bridge quarterback if need be. I wanted to bring up another name, Shedeur Sanders, which I don't think we've talked about enough. And, you know, over there at Jackson State and the competition, maybe like these games aren't enjoyable to watch because it's like Jackson State is loaded for, you know, where they play and they're expected to pretty much blow out every single team. But this is Deion Sanders' son, Shedeur Sanders. He looks incredible. Like, he looks really good. I would love to see him actually play, like, versus different competition. And I just want to see him. I want to put him on people's radar because I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, he had offers to, like, a lot of really good schools.
Yeah, but you're going to play for your dad. You know, you're going to play for your dad.
You believe in, like, what's happening here. You know, you want to see the program grow. And HBCUs grow, obviously, as well. Yeah. But it's not like this is someone who was like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, oh, you're my son. Like, I'll take you in and, you know, you can play. No, like, the son is helping the dad out here, you know?
Yeah. And I think he would get looked at regardless. I personally think, you know, Deion has a huge part to play in that, to be completely honest. Like, he has a huge part. He's going to get NFL team people. Look at this. This may be my son. This may be biased, but just have a look. You know, like he has the opportunity to get eyes on him, unlike other people.
I wanted to show people this his recruiting page. He was a 4-star recruit, so he could have gone pretty much anywhere he wanted. Let me try and show you guys the kind of offers that he was getting. Got offers from Tennessee, UCLA, Florida State. I got an offer from Alabama. Georgia Tech offered him. South Carolina offered him. Michigan sent an offer. Same with Vanderbilt, Arizona State, Georgia, LSU, Florida. Like this isn't someone again who's like, yeah, he's good, but it's like his dad's the name. No, like this is a legitimate quarterback prospect. And yes, he is. I don't think he's 2023. I think he's 2024 draft eligible, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I believe it's 2024. And the reason I bring him up is because I would not be surprised if Deion Sanders said to his son, I appreciate everything you've done, that you've brought, that we've done collectively here. Now it's time for you to think about your future. I want you to transfer to whatever school is willing to take you on. Because, like, there's a lot of schools right now, top 5, like, Power 5 schools who would be willing to give him, like, to bring him in on a transfer and then give him 1 year. Yeah, 100%. I think this is a real possibility for him to transfer to, I don't know, like, whatever team, like any team in the SEC or, you know, like in Ohio State or whatever the case may be. I think it's a very legitimate chance that he could transfer if that's something that he wants. Like, obviously, he's the one who's in control of his future. He'll have a conversation with his father. But I think if Deion and Shedeur, like, come to an agreement, like, hey, I could legitimately be in the NFL. Not that he can't do it with Jackson State, but I think that they would be on the same page and say, like, yeah, let's give this a real shot. Like, let's go and put you in a position where NFL scouts can see you versus the best competition. So I just wanted to put him, he was another person I added to my radar this week. Just, like, keep track of the name. He's going to dominate in all these games because he, like, the competition on Jackson State versus the other competition is just, like, it's not there. But keep track in transfer windows for next offseason for college football of Shedeur Sanders. Let's see if he decides to make a move, because I don't think it's outside the realm of possibilities for it to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not outside of the realm of possibilities. I think I think it would be. I think the reason why I'm a little bit more hesitant because I know Deion Sanders. It's all about getting NFL players from HBCUs to the NFL, so that would kind of like defeating the purpose of what his goal is. But completely understand where you're coming from. Like, yeah, you got to do you. You know, you got to do you and do what's best for you. So can definitely see both possibilities.
Yeah, it's one of those hard things where it's like, it is 100% not right that it's not given the same consideration like Jackson State versus a team in the SEC. It's 100% not right that that's not happening. Yeah, but it does happen. Like it's like, for sure. Well, it happens. Like we can't pretend like it doesn't. So let's see. I mean, that would be interesting. But I can see both sides of the coin as well. All right, let's move on. Unless you have any other quarterbacks that you want to talk about.
Feel good about it. I mean, the only other quarterback I would say is DJ. I mean, he's undefeated right now.
Oh my God! Thank you so much for saying that. I literally had a tab to bring up for him.
He's doing it. He's doing it, but like, it's not amazing. Still, it's not like.
It true. Like, I wrote down a couple things. I said he played like a first round pick versus Wake Forest. He played like a first round pick. Arm strength, pocket presence, ball placement. That's been a big issue for him. Ball placement, but there's a lot of fades, deep balls where it is exactly where it needs to be. Even like end zone attempts. It was beautiful. It was truly beautiful to watch DJ play versus Wake Forest. This is what we all thought we were getting last year when he took over for Trevor Lawrence. This is the type of play that we thought we were going to get from DJ Ungalele, and I am back in. I'm back in. Like,
he's back in.
I'm back in on DJ. Everything's always been there. The size, the strength. What hasn't been there is the ball placement and the touch, and he's also made some really bad decisions. But Wake Forest, this game gave me life for DJ. I'm not ready to give up on him, man. Everything is there as a prospect. Right now, if you look at, like, you know, the mock draft database, he's not even on the list, which he should be. To me, like, right now, he's a name that I think scouts are really, like, paying attention to. He could completely throw it all away with his performances, but he looks great. And if they keep winning games, they'll be in the college football playoffs, and everyone's going to watch the college football playoffs. So
for sure,
I'm backing on DJ as far as, like, I'm genuinely monitoring him.
Yeah, I like DJ, and I always liked what he can do. It just feels like it's not his value is to what he's done in the past year. It's like it's too far gone. As in, like, I don't think he can fix it. Like, he can put a couple, bricks back up on the foundation, but, like, there's still a massive gap there, and what that is, I'm not necessarily sure. I think that's how the NFL is visioning, like, is looking at DJ. Like, he has a good foundation, like, it's super shaky. Like,
yeah, there was two quarterbacks I think this year that you had that kind of like feeling on. It was Spencer Rattler and DJ, and I was calling it on the opposite side where I was like, maybe there is hope for some of these guys. Like, genuinely, there could be. I'll say Spencer Rattler is completely gone. Like, you were definitely right on Spencer Rattler.
I have hope for DJ, over. But yeah, Spencer is done. Bye.
DJ though, there's still hope for him. So
yeah, that's why I brought him up. That's why I brought him up. I was like, he's winning games. I had his tab
open. Like, I wanted to talk about him. I just forgot.
He's winning games, but like he's not like it doesn't feel like a home run hit right now. I think that's it.
You gotta go watch that last game versus Wake Forest. I promise you. Like, the placement of the ball, the arm strength, reading the field, making the right throws, even in overtime, pressure moments. Like, DJ, if this is the DJ we get every week, he will be a first-round pick. If we get this DJ every single week for the rest of the season, he will be a first-round pick.
I'm hearing you.
But, of course, there's a greater chance that he's not that DJ every week. But, anyway, he's not off the list anymore. All right, let's move on to running backs, yeah?
Yeah.
Talk about Bijan. Another really, really good game here versus Texas Tech. They lost this game. They should have won this game. That was unfortunate for them. But he looked great. I mean, I don't really think we should spend too much time on Bijan. He's still the 101 in Dynasty. There's no questions about it.
He's doing his thing.
Talk about Jahmyr Gibbs for a second. Again, not really like it still worries me, the lack of usage on the ground. Like, even in a game where you blow out Vanderbilt, you had 3 attempts. And I'm not saying he's not a good rusher on the ground, but this is like, there's enough from Wake Forest, or sorry, Georgia Tech, I agree. But there has to at least be question marks from GMs or scouts. Like, why does he have 25 rushing attempts in 4 games? Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, for sure. And
I understand his role is different. It's frustrating to see. I want to see them use him a little bit more in that role.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I'm not necessarily sure what to think of it.
Yeah.
They play Arkansas this week. I think maybe he does get a better opportunity, but it is a like, he's not rising his stock. You know, like, if he would have stayed at Georgia Tech,
rising,
if he would have stayed at Georgia Tech, knowing what the touches he would have gotten, he may not have, you know, this Alabama, I guess, talk on him.
Yeah, it wouldn't be in the spotlight like he.
Yeah, it wouldn't be in the spotlight, but like, maybe his tape would have just been significantly better.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I think he's still a top guy. He just needs to get the opportunity. But they're winning games. Every single game is a blowout right now, so it doesn't feel like they need him.
It's just like, I want at least 10 rushing attempts a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, from the RB1 on the team.
The fact that
he looks great in the air, like he is like the best weapon on this team outside of Bryce. It's just weird, the usage is like, you get your best weapon, you let him touch the ball like 10, 12, 15 times a game. It's strange.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily showing. Turn off camera froze. Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is strange. Well, let me just look at the splits here. Give me a second, because like, is the backup getting more touches based off of the blowout?
Certain running backs have, you know, certain roles, but it's not necessarily been like a run-heavy offense either. So I think like that context is obviously important. But also, like, I do think scouts are going to be looking at it, at least like having questions about it. Not that it will sway them off of him, but they'll just be like, why is that going on? And they'll talk to coaches, they'll figure it out. Gibbs is James Cook. I didn't like James Cook coming in. I love Jahmyr Gibbs though. To me, James Cook, the way I described him coming into last year, was he could be a really, really good third down running back. I didn't see much more than that for him. With Jahmyr Gibbs, I look at him and I see Aaron Jones. I look at him and I see Alvin Kamara. Like, whatever you want to say between those two comps, that's what I think he could be in the NFL. And it's weird that he's not getting those opportunities. But to be fair, with 25 carries, he has 6.9 yards per carry. So he's doing what he can with the carries he's given. And he's also, like, he could set records for running backs as far as, like, through the air, as what he's doing on through the air. So that's interesting as well. Did you find anything on those splits?
No, I've been trying to. I can't freaking figure out ESPN, man. It's so annoying.
Let's look at Alabama team stats. Let's look at Alabama team stats. That's probably going to be the easiest way to see splits here. So if we look at their team this year, Chase McClellan, so he's actually getting more rushing attempts than Jahmyr Gibbs. So it's just like different players have different roles. You also have Jamarion Miller, who is getting some rushing attempts, and Roydell Williams. I don't know who Roydell Williams is, but it looks like it's pretty well split between these four. So with context, I'm sure people will realize that. But also the conversation point is also for like some GMs, like, okay, why weren't you the one who was given priority in rushing attempts?
Yeah.
What is it about your game that they decided to make it a 4-way split? I don't know. It's just a conversation.
Yeah, it is. I'm not necessarily sure, but it's not. He's still the guy for both of us. Just we need to see more.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Zach Evans, one of the running backs that I really, really love in this class. It was a weird game, man, because they are starting to use their other running back. What's his name? I'm trying to remember. They're starting to use him a lot. And you still see Zach, in the red zone. He's still getting opportunities on the ground, and he has 59 carries and he's 6.2 yards per carry. So he's still performing really, really well. But they're also using Quinshon Judkins is his name. Quinshon Judkins, who's a 3-star recruit, and he obviously committed to the team. So Quinshon Judkins and Zach Evans, it looks like Quinshon's not going away. This is going to be a true two-headed monster here in Ole Miss. And right now, Judkins actually leads the team in rushing attempts. So it'll be interesting to see how that might impact his draft stock. I still love him. But again, just like Jahmyr, like there's going to be questions. Why aren't you being prioritized over a different running back? So let's see how that goes for the rest of the year. But I still like Zach Evans. Still love his game. And if you watch these 4 games, you'll see great things on film for Zach Evans. I think NFL teams will be really excited about.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy that is. I mean, I watched this tape. Remember, guys, I watched this tape earlier. He's not necessarily in love. Didn't love what he did in TCU. Now here in Ole Miss, I like what he's doing. He's not. It doesn't feel like the home run hit to me. But yeah, it is the question mark. Why is he not prioritized? Gotta wait and see. He's still doing his thing though. I mean, he scored a touchdown, only 10 attempts.
Still putting up numbers. So
yeah, it's still there. So let's see how it works.
Let's talk about a name, and I don't know where you currently stand. It was a concern I brought up last week with the lack of production, the lack of efficiency, and it did not get any better this week for Sean Tucker.
No.
I was concerned. I felt like his draft. I believe I said last week he's no longer a second-round pick. Like he's in that 3rd, 4th round draft capital now. Mm-hmm. Where do you stand? Because I can tell you, as someone who my college growing up was Virginia. That's where we went. We would see this is not a very good defense historically. 2.9 yards per carry, and I watched the game. Like he didn't look bad, but I didn't see the X factor, and I'm concerned. I wonder where you stand at this point, because I know that you liked him, and it's hard when you fall in love. Because last year's tape did look much better.
It did. It definitely looked so much better. I would love to see, I guess, a difference in offensive line or like whatever the case may be. But I wonder if that is the case. But even then,
it's hard to keep,
hard to keep up with that sort of thing in college. But another thing is like, it doesn't feel. I mean, and I know you're saying it is a big deal, but me right now still doesn't feel like a big thing. The yards per carry. I know everyone, like you and even the chat, is saying, well, the yards per carry is pretty significant, especially the talent gap in college going into the NFL. I still believe he's extremely talented, and that he can produce, and he will produce. I mean, once again, the efficiency is not there. You're right. 21 attempts, 60 yards. That's not the case. But I like him as a talent. I think all the tangibles are there. What he's doing is there. I don't know what necessarily is wrong. I can't put my finger on it. He hasn't risen or fallen. But yeah, the yards per carry, if that is a massive concern in college, like you're saying, then that's concerning.
I don't think it's just the yards per carry, because the yards per carry are a indication to a bigger story, and then you watch the film and you're like, well, he's not extending plays like he was last year.
Right.
And the yards per carry is just like, it's like a window into what's going on right now.
Right.
Sean Tucker, I know a lot of people love him, but if he ends a year with 3.6 yards per carry, he won't be drafted in the first 3 rounds. He just won't. And we know historically that running backs drafted in the round 4 onwards just are not guys that you can rely on in Dynasty. They typically aren't prioritized. They aren't giving opportunities like, first and second round running backs.
Yeah.
And right now, his stock is plummeting. So even if we like him, draft capital is...
that's what matters. That's really important.
Yeah, is what's going to end up mattering. If you look at consensus boards right now, excuse me, he's still the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th running back off the board. But I don't feel like this is an updated list just yet. We don't know how often these update, and I don't think a lot of people are like smashing out 2023 mock drafts right now. But look, like if this continues, again, he's going to plummet his stock, and he's not going to be someone that we can like consider a first round pick in Dynasty anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it continues, and if that really is, and he's going to continue tank. But I liked him as a prospect coming in. If he doesn't improve in that area, then yeah, there's definitely. I mean, week 1, 21 carries, 100 yards. Week 2, 27 for 112, and then it just hasn't been there the past 2 weeks. Not necessarily sure what is happening, but loving that he's getting the work, and he is clearly the main guy there. But it's.
We talked about his schedule and how he's going to have a chance to really help his stock or tremendously hurt it. Last week we mentioned Virginia, Wagner. These are not very good defensive teams. We should see huge performances. Didn't happen versus Virginia. Can I tell you though, if it doesn't happen versus Wagner, which I'm pretty sure that everyone watching this video right now has no idea what college Wagner is or where it's located. Like, tell me if you do. If it doesn't happen versus Wagner, it's going to be really hard to keep trying to fight for Sean Tucker.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is a huge week for Sean Tucker, and he even keeps putting it on his Twitter. He keeps saying like, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah, it's true, and I like, once again, love the accountability, and maybe it's a mental block. Maybe he just needs to get into the zone, stop focusing on that, and just put his head down and grind.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see.
All right, let's talk about Tank Bigsby, a guy that I really wasn't with consensus on coming into the year. Of course, like our opinions are still open to be changed.
Yeah.
Week 1, I was like, oh my God, we did not see this Tank Bigsby last year. And then every week since then, I've been
it's been a decline.
This is the Tank Bigsby I was looking on film last year and didn't like. So, I don't know. A lot of people are obsessed with this guy. Like, there's a huge part of the community that's like Tank Bigsby stands. Just like Sean Tucker, it's hard to keep on justifying it when the play is just not there. So we'll have a chance to continue it, but for me, the biggest fallers right now would be Tank and Sean Tucker in the running back room.
Yeah, I can definitely see where it's coming from, but yeah, Tank, just not the guy either. I mean, he was in the middle of the pack for me. I liked what he did. I call him the Tank. He's massive. He keeps his legs going. But yeah, we'll gotta wait and see, can he take it to the next level, I guess.
All right, let's do some quick fire here. Zach Charbonnet looked great. I really liked Zach Charbonnet's game. I really wish he came out in last year's class, because he would have been like a top 5 running back in that class for me. But looked great versus Colorado. Only 9 attempts, but he was extremely efficient with them.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And he looked really, really good. Like, he was a big reason as to why they won that game.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Corum for Michigan.
Crazy.
Off. He was the offense. His stock is rising. Like, he's still going to be one of those players where I'm relatively put off of because of the size. But 5'8", 210 is much better than, like, we're going to talk about Devin Akane here, who is 5'8", 185. Like, 5'8", 210, the amount of muscle, the amount of mass on your body as a running back, that makes me much more hopeful for your chances in the NFL. So he's a name that I feel like is on the rise. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's sneaky. He's sneaky. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Devin Akane,
Devin A.
I
Train.
think we both pretty much had him off our roster, but
Yeah.
or off our radar. He's gonna be drafted, but again, really hard to see how he wins in the NFL outside of speed. Like,
Agree.
would you agree there? Anything you want to add?
It's just speed. He doesn't really, maybe more special teams guy, a punt returner potentially, but I don't see him being a lead back in the NFL.
Okay. Any other running backs that you wanted to talk about before we move on?
No, I think the only other one I would say is, I'm pretty sure it's 2024, but Travion just had another great game, 21 carries, 121 yards. I like him. I think he's really great. I think it's once again 2024, not this year, but if we're looking down the road.
5-star recruit.
He's doing his thing. He's doing his thing.
Was injured here, so if you see like why is there no stats there, he got injured during that game. Came back, looked pretty good. 21 carries, 121 yards. Someone else who was on my list, my radar, that I brought to you guys last week was Will Shipley. He also had a really good game versus Wake Forest along with DJ. So again, another couple names to keep on your list, on your radar. And then of course Braylon Allen, who played Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken. And was shut down for most of this game, to be honest. Like, there's such a clear difference in the talent gap between Ohio State and Wisconsin. But just like Derrick Henry, who I keep comparing him to, he was able to rip off, like, you keep giving him the ball, one of these plays, he's going to rip it off for a touchdown. He had a 70-yard touchdown run at the end of this game, so he at least redeemed himself. But again, this is my favorite running back in the 2024 class. A lot of people are going to say Travion is their favorite running back as well. I can understand where people are coming from. Will Shipley is definitely a name as well to keep track of. But yeah, definitely interesting. I'm just keeping up with the chat here. Wish Zach Charbonnet would have stayed at Michigan, Kyle says. John says, what is Akane's adds on what? I guess the question is probably what if he adds on weight?
Adds on weight. I mean,
the issue with a player like this who's this small is you add on weight, you might lose a little bit of what makes you special. It's tough, man. These players who are this small are off my board.
Yeah, John, I said, I mean, the size is definitely concerning, but if he puts on some weight, it would definitely make it interesting for me. I want to see him put more focus into the craft of football and not just having the speed and just getting handed the ball.
Yeah.
I just want to see more about it and more love for the game, and maybe he does. Maybe he has done that, and maybe he's in that path now.
It's hard from like us only evaluating film to say he doesn't have love for the game.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I was saying, like, it doesn't. I don't know what that is, but I mean, if he does, and he comes out with a report, or he has a video saying, I really love football. I wanna commit to this. Stop track, and I'm gonna be putting on weight. I know a lot of people are concerned about my weight because he was like what, like 185 or something really small, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
If he puts on some weight, maybe that it can be interesting. But yeah, I'm happy to wait and see.
Yep. All right. Move on to the running back, wide receivers.
Wide receivers, baby.
Kayshon Boutte.
Kayshon Boutte.
I mean, pretty much what we've been talking about this entire year. Quarterback play is going to limit his production, and loved his film that we've seen so far before this year. But let's see how this impacts his draft capital. I still think he's a first-round pick, but he's no longer a top 5 or top 10 first-round pick.
Is there a quarterback or a wide receiver that has had a terrible quarterback play that still has produced and been a first-round pick? I can't think. Maybe I'm putting you on the spot because I don't really know.
There definitely could be, but I can't think off the top of my head. But at the same time, like, we're not looking at Kayshon Boutte for only this year. Like, that's the thing. Like, well, keep in mind, Jamar Chase didn't play his entire last year because of COVID. He was still drafted first round because of what he had done in the previous years. Different player, obviously, but I think a lot of people are going to be able to watch this game and say, or watch these games this year and say, well, the quarterback play is clearly the issue. You and I have watched LSU and we've been like, holy shit. This quarterback cannot get anyone the ball.
He can't do it. No, I mean, TJ Folger said Dodson. Chase took a year off. I mean, he took a year off, but and maybe that's what he should do. Maybe he should just take the year off.
Yeah, but then you're gonna COVID was a good excuse, but now you're gonna have scouts who are gonna be like, you quit on your team. Like he's in a can't win situation, really.
Yeah, it sucks, man. It sucks, but I mean, what can you do? He needs to put up one game. Be like, okay, he got 10 targets. Fantastic. This is what he could do if the quarterback play was great. Like, I think we need to see that game, you know? And if he has one of those games for the year and be like, well, this is when Daniels.
I don't think it's coming. I don't think it's coming. Like, yeah.
It's tough.
Kelly has found a way to make this the most unwatchable team in college football somehow. And Jaden Daniels has a big. JT Daniels is actually at West Virginia, but Jaden Daniels is not helping his case at all. I still think he's a first-round pick, but obviously the production is not there. Again, but look at the body of work and look at the film from previous years. But again, like this is exactly what we said. The production's not going to be there, and it's going to continue. Both for him and Quentin Johnson. There's not really much to talk about with Quentin Johnson either. Jordan Addison, I think he's probably going to end up being the first wide receiver this year.
No doubt. There's no doubt about it. I think there's no one else ahead of him. I don't see anyone ahead of him. I don't know about you.
The conversation would be Jackson Smith and Jigba or Keyshawn Boutte. But Jackson Smith and Jigba, like, still coming off the injury, so let's give it a couple, let's give it a little bit. But Emeka Egbuka, who, we were talking about last week, we really, really love. He's the number one wide receiver on this team right now. And I would say even Marvin Harrison Jr. is ahead of Jackson Smith.
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't mean that's going to continue, but this is not how Jackson Smith would have wanted this year to go with the injury, lack of production.
Does he has an excuse? Does he just stay out?
No, he'll play and he'll be a part of this team, but at the same time, keep in mind that when Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson were being drafted, people were like, well, look, I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba came in. He was the best wide receiver on the team. Like this is what happens when you're at one of the best wide receiver recruiting schools in the nation. Like his stats will get better, his production will get better because of the quarterback that he's connected to. But it's just like every year. Like there's another stud, incredible wide receiver that comes in, and we shouldn't devalue the guys that are in a class ahead of them, as far as junior, senior, whatever.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that.
This is what happens when you're a part of a wide receiver, a NFL wide receiver college. Like this is what happens,
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I like all these guys. I mean, surely Harris and Mbuka are going to be top first round picks next year.
In 2024.
Yeah.
It looks that way.
Yeah,
Egbuka definitely will be. Like he's incredible.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll talk about Josh Downs. Like not a lot to report on. He's had a pretty good year. Again, like another wide receiver who had really good film from previous years with
the quarterback
Sam Howell. Let's see if that continues. A guy that I brought up last week was Johnny Wilson. Had a huge game versus Louisville. 6'7", 235 pounds. Didn't get a lot of opportunities here versus Boston College, but this is college football. Like there's up and there's
basketball. Does he play basketball?
I don't know if he's a dual sport athlete.
You mean he should?
Yeah.
6'7".
Is there any other names that we should talk about? I'm trying to look at my list.
I was going through all the teams too, wide receivers. I can't really see anyone. I mean, unless you can bring up somebody.
Not wide receivers that really there's definitely going to be names that keep popping up. But someone else that I added to the list with that Wake Forest and Clemson game, there was two names that I wanted to talk about. One of them being Sam Hartman. I don't know if you guys have watched QB1 on Netflix. Or was that? Yeah, that was QB1, wasn't it? Yeah, he was on that show. Really interesting. Had a great game. I mean, versus Clemson, probably the best defense in the ACC, not the SEC. In the ACC, put up 337 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had an incredible game. He has, unfortunately, a wide list of health concerns, which could limit his NFL opportunities. But
What are the health concerns? Because I don't really know.
I believe it's with his heart, if I'm not mistaken. Like he has heart issues,
Right. Okay.
which actually held him out of a game this year. It's tough because the talent is there, but never going to be a first round pick. Probably never going to be a second round pick. Maybe ends up being a third. Just a name that, like, if this guy makes it to the NFL and he makes an impact, the story would be incredible.
Like a good story, yeah.
Jamal Banks for Wake Forest as well.
Yeah.
He had a really, really good game. He was a beneficiary of Sam Hartman. Like, these two guys were definitely on the same page this week. He had 6 catches for 141 yards and 2 touchdowns. The dude is, like, a very, very good contested catcher.
Yeah.
And I could see how his game could translate into the NFL. Not going to be a first-round pick. Probably not going to be a second. Like, maybe he slips into that second or third round. I don't even know if he's on. Well, he's a sophomore, so he wouldn't be in this next draft. But a name that I think should be on people's radars going forward as well. As far as what he can do as a contested catcher,
okay,
it's very, very interesting.
I have the geese.
I think that was it, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anyone. I don't have anyone else. All the top guys we kind of talk about. No one else really stood out. I mean, obviously we can talk about Deuces and everyone. But you guys already know how we feel about these guys coming in.
Yeah.
Smaller, love the talent, but Zach's right. It's small. You could get lost. Could be a special teams person.
I wanted to look at a mock draft and just have a look at it together.
Yeah, let's do that.
Just because I think that could be fun. So let's look at some of the latest mock drafts, 2023 mock drafts. I want to see. Draft Network's alright. NFL mocks. What's the most recent one? 9/26. All right, let's view the Draft Network's mock draft.
That was 2 days ago, so that makes sense.
So number 1, they have Will Anderson Jr. going to Alabama. I think you and I have both stated that if the Falcons are number 1, they're getting a quarterback. Like, Will Anderson's the best player in this draft, but you're getting a quarterback.
Yeah. I agree.
Bryce Young to the Texans. Oh my God, that would be interesting.
Give it to Nico, baby. Let's get Nico revitalization with Bryce.
My mind actually instantly went to John Mechie.
That makes sense. He's young.
CJ Stroud to the Panthers. That could be really interesting. Will Levis to the Seahawks. I don't think Will Levis is like a top 4 pick for me right now, but fair enough. To the Seahawks, that could be interesting.
Yeah, could be.
I really don't want CJ to go to Carolina. Like, please. Please not Carolina.
DJ Moore truthers will come back alive and be like, oh, he has a quarterback.
I know. Where are those people at who are roasting me for saying sell DJ Moore? He's going to be better this year. He'll be better. Like, he's so god-awful right now. So far through 3 weeks, he will be better.
Yeah.
Steven says, what do you guys think of the 23 draft class as a whole? Is it going to live up to the hype? I would say quarterbacks,
I feel
running backs, and so quarterbacks, running backs. I think this is a more complete class than it was last year. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Across the board, except for wide receivers. But
agreed.
It's a more complete class as of right now.
Completely agree. It is a more complete class. We have a good group of running backs, good group of wide receivers. I think the wide receivers are a little bit not as deep as it was last year, but the quarterbacks are still the same. Running backs are significantly better. Tight ends significantly better. Yeah. And I guess the wide receiver one is probably a tier down than what it was last year.
Yeah. I would say a tier up everywhere except for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Jordan Addison to the Bears, that could be really awesome.
Yeah.
That would actually be really good.
Even with Justin Fields. Oh boy.
Jalen Carter. If Jalen Carter fell to 7, oh my God. He's probably the second or third best player in this class. Just trying to look at offensive names. Jackson Smith to the Patriots. They absolutely desperately need a weapon. Kayshon Boutte to the Cowboys.
Classic. I mean, it just makes sense.
I get it.
Yeah.
That could be interesting. Michael Mayer to the Bengals. My God, make that offense even better. Oh my goodness. Bijan Robinson to the Dolphins. I would love that fit.
Give it a Bijan.
Anthony Richardson to the Lions. That would be awesome as well. Anyway, always interesting. Xavier Hutchinson. I don't even know who Xavier Hutchinson is. Let's look up that name. Xavier Hutchinson. We might be having a new name we need to add to our radar.
Ohio State. Xavier Hutchinson.
Is he from Ohio State?
I mean, Iowa State. Sorry. Iowa State.
Oh, okay. I was like... All right, so let's look at his recruiting profile. He was a 3-star recruit to Iowa State. So I'm assuming that we're about to see some crazy production from him so far this year. Pretty good production so far. Yeah, 8 catches last week for 84 yards. The week before, 9 for 93 in a tud. Versus Iowa, 11 for 98. So it looks like this guy's putting himself on the map here as a senior. 6'3", 205 pounds. Oh my gosh. I'm going to go watch some Xavier Hutchinson film after this.
Xavier Hutchinson. He's doing it. He's a consistent guy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the targets, the yards.
No idea who he is. No idea who he is.
Nearly in almost every single game besides last week. So,
anyway, guys, that probably will finish the stream for us. If you guys have any last-minute questions, let us know.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could do us a huge favor, drop a like on this video. Obviously, the Dynasty channel is going to pick back up here. You know, once we get towards the end of the season, we'll start looking at Dynasty and put out some more content for you guys. John says DJ Moore truthers will still say they don't have a quarterback.
Oh gosh, imagine.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine.
Yeah. I'm so triggered by that situation because this dude who's huge on Twitter quote tweeted me and like tried to destroy me about, and I wasn't even rude to him. Like Twitter's just so toxic. That's why that was my mistake.
Would you say anything to him? Like, are you gonna wait till the end of the year type vibe?
I went back and I looked at the tweet and I was just like, I'm not gonna do anything because again, I don't want to contribute to the toxicity of Twitter.
Just send me that link. Send me that link and I'll contribute. I know you don't want to contribute, but I'll contribute. I'll defend.
It's almost like he like quote tweeted me. He quote tweeted me to like his 40,000 followers and was like basically telling people how my process was completely wrong and how like I was completely unaware. Basically like talking down on me, and I was like, oh my gosh.
We won't talk out to him, but we'll just say he was wrong. Excuse me, sorry.
What can you do? Anyway, huge love, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Look, DJ Moore is gonna be better than he was, but he's not a wide receiver one.
He is. Yeah, he's not. We'll see what happens, and
we'll see.
Sell him high, or you can't really sell him high right now. So GG's.
No, you can't. Unfortunately, if you have him, you've made your bed. All right, guys. Toxicity of our city is our city. Huge love, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week, and good luck this week in fantasy. Good luck this week.